And here we are. We're at Good Buddy, Good Brain Podcast. This is Dr. Sally Good. Today, I am very honored to have a real, shall I say, icon in the business world. She has been on this path. She has been on different niches. She can look into your business and say, okay, here's my zone of genius. I see yours, and let's get this fixed. And she's a wonderful speaker, and I cannot wait to hear her talk about how women can be empowered to shine in their own businesses. So this is Ms. Yvonne McCoy, and I'm turning the show over to her, and let's hear what you have to say.
Sally, thank you so much. This is a topic that I just absolutely, it's like a passion. It's an obsession. And I think part of that is because I had to go through this journey. And I think, one of the things for women that is so common is that, we're brought up to do the right thing, kind of, and to take care of other people. And, society has said, so there's societal norms, and I was one of those people. I mean, I went to high school, I excelled, I went to college, I got married, I had my 2.7 kids. So it's 0.7 is my short kid. I had a dog, 2 cats, a car, a house, but I did not have, although I loved all of them, and I had parents that I ended up having to take care of and stuff like that. And although I loved all of them, I think that, the women's journey is kind of, you get these beliefs in childhood and they're there to protect you, and because your parents love you. And so that's kind of like, don't rock the boat, do the things that you're going to do. I mean, until the day my mother died, she said to me, how come you don't have a job? You used to have jobs. Oh, why don't you have a job? Then you get into like that nurture thing, whether you're nurturing your pets or your career or your kids or your parents, and it's like, you tend not to be the priority unless I've talked to some people who've had some really wonderful parents that have said, you can be anything, that was not my experience. And that I don't think is the experience that most women have. And someplace, like a late 40s, early 50s, when you start to hit that mark, you go, there's got to be more. There's got to be more in it for me. I mean,
is this all there is?
Is this all there? Exactly. And so what happens then is you start that search, and you become kind of like a spiritual warrior in the sense that I want to find my purpose. And then not only do I want to find my purpose, but I want to keep other people from having to go through what I went through. And then the final stage of that, which I may be getting to, is, kind of the sage or the mentor stage. But so that's kind of one one patterning current that's going on. And then on top of that, you layer the fact that, in terms of time management and productivity and that kind of stuff, which started in the 1700s, was agricultural. It was like bushels per acre. And then it became industrial, and it was widgets per hour, which is where we're stuck a lot. And that's why, instead of just throwing, like your grandmother used to just throw stuff in a pot and it came out wonderful. We now have cookbooks that say put a 1/4 teaspoon of this and only cook it 17 minutes, and it still doesn't come out right. And the education system is there to make you a good follower, and you're taught not to step out of line. And I always say, Buckminster Fuller, this is my favorite thing, says, we're all born geniuses, and then it's educated out of us. And so my favorite story about this is when I took geometry, I would never read the chapter. And so one day I came into class, and it's like we had to do a proof, and everybody was like, oh my God, it took me 20 steps. It took me 26 steps. And I was like, oh God, it took me 3. Right? And the teacher says, come put it on the board. I come put it on the board. He looks at it, he shakes his head, and he goes, would you please read the chapter and use the lesson we're supposed to be using? And then he goes, this is right. Could somebody put it up the right way? So you're not rewarded for creativity. And now we
Mhm.
are in the information age. And the information age means that our clients don't need more information because they can find it anywhere. They can find it on the internet. They can go, they can do YouTube, they can do Google. What they need is someone that can help them implement what they want and get where they want to go and help them with a transformation. And for the right group of people, you are that answer. And here's what I would say to you. We all have a heart business and a head business. Your heart business is what you would do for nothing, right? But then it's not a business, it's a charity. And your head business is what you could do in your sleep. I mean, it's you're naturally talented, you've been trained in it, you could. And so the place where you can shine is where you put that heart business and that head business together. There are people in your heart business category who need those skills that you could do in your sleep. So for me, what that means is, I have an MBA in business. I've run businesses. I've been, a manager in businesses. I did adult education and went in and did workforce training in a variety of different businesses. And I can do that in my sleep pretty much. And the thing that excites me about that piece of it is it excites me to see people become empowered, right? To learn to do something that they've never learned how to do before. And so my heart business is making women aware of the fact that they've got a unique gift that makes them shine and to not, sabotage themselves. And that there are processes that they don't have to listen. There's so many gurus that are out there that say, do this, do this, do this. But one size does not fit all. One size, you know, makes you just like everybody else.
Mhm.
Right. And so what you want to do is, there are certain principles in life that are true. So at room temperature, water is wet, regardless where it is. Do you know? I mean, and that's like a principle. But what you do with the water and how you do it is what makes you special. So you might be a swimming coach that talks about, the water's got to be at a certain temperature for you to get a certain speed. You may be, someone that's into gardening and, it's about irrigation. You may be into something about health and it may be about how much water you drink. And so, the water is the same. So there's part of what you're talking about that's going to be the same. It's what you do with it and how you explain it and who needs it the way that you do it. And so there's a
Unique, unique you, uniquely you.
absolutely, absolutely. And so if you were, the first step is to realize that you are special. And I know, you know, probably the hardest thing to do is to toot your own horn because, we were told to sit down and be quiet. At least
Mhm.
I was.
And
And
be
so,
nice. Be
yeah,
nice now. You be nice.
and don't ask for help. Because when you ask for help, that's a sign of weakness, and you're there to help others. And one of the stories a lot of the lessons that I learned that helped me turn my life around, I learned from losing weight. And I don't know if I told you this, Sally, but at one point I was
Mhm.
440 pounds and I lost
Mhm.
150 pounds. And I remember being in a Weight Watchers class one night, and the teacher said, "I want you to put yourself first." And every woman in that room had a heart attack.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
no,
mean,
I can't possibly do that.
they were like, right? And she said, okay, if you can't do that, then at least make yourself as important as everybody else. Don't put yourself at the bottom of the list. And it really hit me when I took my young daughter to go buy sneakers. And this is like decades ago. So I told her, you have $100, you need to get 2 pair of sneakers, right? And so she's looking around and she finds a pair of fashion sneakers that she loves for like, $80. And then she goes to the clearance rack and she buys a clearance pair for $20, which she never wore. Um,
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I'm looking on the clearance rack for myself, but I'm overweight. I need a pair of sneakers that are going to give me support and give me good posture. And, and it suddenly hit me. I'm spending $80 on fashion for her, and I need a pair of sneakers that are almost like a medical appliance. Do you know what I mean? And so
Yes.
we do it in our lives in so many different ways. So part of your uniqueness is that you are an expert to the people who have not reached where you are, because we have this tendency to practice, to get perfect, to practice, to get some more. I mean, I can't tell you how many women I've said that I mean, one of my clients said, I just got certified in chat GPT. And I'm like, why?
Why? Why?
What is this? What, you don't need to get certified, you know? So there are always people who are going to be more expert than you are. And that's great, because that shows you that there's more to do, there's more to learn and stuff like that. But you are an expert for the people who are earlier in that journey. And when they listen to the people that are more expert than you, one of the reactions they have is, I can never do that. That's too
Right.
much, you know? And so they need to have someone who can show them that what they're offering is realistic and it's within reach, right? And that's what you can do. So, one of the things that I do is I have a process which is called the client attraction process. And part of that is, what does your client need? And so I want you to think about this for yourself. So the model is called RAIN. So it's not a demographic model, because I hate using the word ideal client, because I tell people I went through this really expensive program, and at the end of the year, I still didn't know who my ideal client was. So, and then I had a conversation with somebody and they said, what situation are they in? And I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. So RAIN stands for recognizing that there's a problem, a general problem. And so one of the things that I say is that, to me, that's the PSA, the public service announcement phase of attraction, where you're just kind of letting people know that you're out there, and, it may not be for them, but if they know somebody, that kind of thing. The next is acknowledge that you have the problem, right? The next is, the I is investigate, and the N is needs, right? So the thing is, people travel through that process at different speeds. You could stay in the recognizing that there's a problem for your whole life if you never get the problem. Or you could be in it, and it could be something like maybe arthritis, right? People have arthritis, and the first time you hear the message, it's not important. Then at some point in your life, it hits you. But when you don't have the problem, you might be listening for your mother, or a parent, or a good friend. Then you go, things are starting to ache a little bit. I wonder if this is arthritis. I remember the first time I fell, and the doctor gave me some medicine. I was like, I haven't felt this good in like forever. And I was like, can I keep taking this? And he was like, yes, this is arthritis medicine. And I was like, I went into slow motion. No, I'm not that old. And I had to.
Yeah. I went into, because one of my knees was making this popcorny cracking. It wasn't hurting, but I thought, well, I better go check this out. And the doctor looked at me and said, you have crepitus. And I said, as in decrepit, the root word? He said, well, yeah, and you have to take this medicine for it.
So I had to weigh vanity over, but once you acknowledge it, then you say, well, what else can I do? And you start to look for other solutions. And then, you start to investigate. And then that's where you say, this is what I need. And that's when you actually make a connection with someone that can help you. And what I say to my clients is, when you get to the I and the N, the investigating and the needs, then they're in, if you've done your job right. They're into the conversion conversation with you. So the thing that I think that happens a lot is, you have to learn to trust yourself, right? Because whatever model you're looking at, or whatever you're doing, it's got to be the right thing for the right reason at the right time, the right way, and it has to be right for you, right? I mean, I've done some things that, people will say, this is wonderful, you'll make a lot of money, whatever. But it wasn't at the right time. I mean, I did it because, and I got absolutely zero results. So that's what I want to tell you. First of all, you are fantastic the way you are. You've got more than you think you need. And what I really do with people is I get them to clarify their business and their message. I get them to simplify it so they can focus on less and, put more energy into that so that they can come up with services and a process that's enticing and essential to their clients. So the people are like, you're my person, you're my gal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I want to have happen for you. And you can shine. I mean, part of my joke is if you can get a hot meal on the table, then you can run anything. And there's a long story that goes with that. That when my husband first cooked his first steak dinner with a baked potato, it was like a 2-hour meal. It's like, I'll have steak. And so he cooked the steak, and then he was like, oh, maybe we should have a baked potato. Then he put the baked potato. So it was a great meal. It just,
Yeah. Yes.
So I don't know
Yes.
whether I covered what I needed to for you, Sally, but it has been a pleasure. And I hope that, I talked about a lot of things. I talked about the
Mm-hmm.
women's journey. I talked about the RAIN model. I talked
Mm-hmm.
about how society has changed. And don't let that be the bonds that hold you, because you've got a unique way of looking at something. Nobody has done exactly what you've done the way that you've done it to get where you are. Okay.
Yes, and I want every woman to realize that, even the motherhood experience, the perimenopause, all those things that you've had to go through and overcome have brought you to this place in your life where you have so much to share, and but you also need to know the value of what you share,
Hmm.
so that when you create something, you don't like say, "Oh, would you like my thing? It doesn't cost very much money. Would you like it?" Instead, you say, "Hey, I have got the best thing in town, and it is worth every penny I'm charging."
And you know what else? The piece that, like I said, that what you've created is enticing and essential. And for the people that it's essential for, they're willing to pay more for it because they've tried other things that haven't worked, right?
Mm-hmm.
For them, what you are offering has value. And I will tell you that you can spend more time and energy on something that is low price for a client that's not the right client for you, and it will totally drain you. And they will
Mm-hmm.
walk away and not be happy.
Right, right, because they haven't
Just,
gotten the whole package.
yeah.
They haven't got the whole package, the whole accountability, handheld, the skill set development, all those kinds of things. And also, too, sometimes they've started their business sort of like a hodgepodge side hustle, and it's like sort of like held together with baling wire, as opposed to like an elegant system that works so well, even when you aren't there.
So that's really what I do is I say that a lot of us, and it happened to me when I lost all my clients in COVID, instead of having a well-oiled business, I had a junk drawer. I had courses, I had programs, I had downloadables, I had,
Mm-hmm.
nothing was aligned. It was just the stuff I had collected. And so that's what I find with most people is that they've invested in themselves and a lot of different things, and they don't know how it fits together. It's like
Yes,
it's like a house that you keep adding on an extra room. Let's add on an extra, so it's instead of being well designed, it's like ramshackle.
yes, and I start with the foundation. That's where we start with the big why, and then build on the big why.
And you have to have that purpose. Like I said, you're doing the right thing for the right reason. The right reason is your why, because your why is your what I call dead reckoning. In the olden days,
Mhm.
sailors did not have electronic devices, and so they would pick something far out that they could focus on. And even though they couldn't go straight to it, they had to tack.
Mhm.
They would, because of the wind and the currents, they would still make progress in the direction that you want to go. And so that is a wonderful strategy to have is that what is my why, what is my purpose, you know, of why I'm doing this.
And the other part is, if you really really want to make money, you want to make money to greater impact in the world. So whatever your personal message is, whatever philanthropic endeavor you want to get into, it takes money to do that. So do good financially so you can do good out into the world.
That's right. That's right. I absolutely agree. Sally, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and to
Well,
share
thanks
some.
so much for coming on. I've
No,
always wanted to
no,
have this conversation.
this has been great, and we'll have to do it again.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. And we're going to empower more women this year to actually say, this is what I'm worth.
Absolutely, I agree with you
Yeah.
110% or
Okay.
150%. Let's go bold.
Okay. Let's go bold. Let's go bold. Well, my dear, you've been just a delight. I'm so thankful that you came on, and many, many women will hear this and they'll be inspired to let their light shine. Put it out there, and it's like a beacon. The people who love that kind of light are going to go moving towards it. And I was with a coach one time. She says, I want you to write a message that's going to repel 90% of the people that read it. I
Well,
said, okay, okay,
the
because
free
I
gift
want the other 10%.
the free gift that I'm going to give you is going to help people to see their uniqueness. So it's a 5-day
Mhm.
challenge, client attraction, and the first part of it is what makes you unique and why do your clients think you're unique? Because the things that we provide our clients, we just think are normal and everyday, and
Mhm.
what they get is, and so
Right.
we need it.
Goals.
The other, yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So people I think will
Well,
like it.
thank you. Oh, I can hardly wait to catch it. I'm going to put it in the show notes, and it'll be also on all the majors, everything, iHeart, everything, and then also on YouTube. So they will be able to find you everywhere.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you again. Have a
Thank
wonderful,
you.
wonderful week. We'll see you
You
later.
too. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.